Hello and welcome to hobby vlog number 226. Thank you for watching. Let's dive straight into the Reaper challenge. First of all, it is the 31st of March, but I am going to roll the dice or spin the wheel for the March winner today. So that will be on screen now, and the winner was Leslie Bilby Tipping. So congratulations, mate. I'll get in touch with you, or if you can reach out to me, that'd be awesome. What you need to do is pick one of the miniatures that I painted up in the previous week, including the one that I finished today. Let me know, send me your address, and I will fire that over to you brand new from the Reaper store. And thank you very much for voting. You've been, I think you voted 3 times this month. We've got quite a few who have voted 5. If you want to be involved and have the opportunity of winning a Reaper miniature, what you need to do is pick one of the names that's on screen now. They are the 10 miniatures that I've rolled for randomly this morning, and the winner will be painted from next Sunday onwards, and that's how it works. And every vote is an entry into the draw that's run every month, and also there'll be a big draw at the end of the year, so get involved. So last week I painted up this awesome, can't remember what it's called, but I'll put it on the screen. Brain's a bit fried, and I'll put a proper picture on the screen as well. I had a lot of fun. With the basing, so you can see that in this video. But the painting video will be out tomorrow on An Average Painter. And the winner from last week was the Swamp Shambler. And I think the people wanted to have a friend for the whatever that one is. Can't remember. Brain's got a bit fried. Marsh Troll, that's it, from the Marsh Troll. So yeah, brilliant, excellent week, really fun painting it. Looking forward to getting stuck into painting the Swamp Shambler. And honestly, doing this challenge is the only thing that's getting me to the painting bench at the moment, because life is just so crazily busy. And you're going to see that with, I'm 100% sure this is a short vlog. I'm 100% sure, because I just haven't got anything done. But I have managed to get a little bit of hobbying done. So I really hope you enjoy the video. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Don't forget to vote for your Reaper miniature, and I'll see you again at the end. Alright, well, we missed last week, unfortunately, because Rosie was sick, but this week has been a levelling up session before we start our new adventure next week. So, Primula, do you remember what you picked, or shall I remind you? I'll remind you. So you took your stealth from 4 to 5, which cost 7 points, and you took your enhearten from 0 to 2, which took, sit nicely up, which took 3 points. And what did you do with your bow? Do you remember? Better. Yeah, you took your bow to 5, so you're rolling 5 dice when you're in to shoot. You're basically a dead-eye shot now. You're basically Legolas. Sit still, Roo. Sit still. Yeah, indeed. Do you remember what you did, Lobelia?
I did athletics from 0 to 2 because I'm sick of falling over.
Yep.
And I did healing, I think. Did I?
Yes.
From 1 to 3.
Yep, that's it.
That's it. And then I went
badass in swords.
Badass in swords, like an elf.
Yes. So I took hunting from 2 to 3, which I think is going to be quite useful. I took awareness from 3 to 4 and athletics from 1 to 2. And then I followed the pack and did the axe up to 5. So we're basically like the best warriors that hobbits have ever seen now, which is quite fun. So next week we're going to start a new campaign, aren't we, love? A new adventure. Do you want to know what the next adventure is called? To soothe a savage beast. Ooh. And we're going into the old forest. Yay! So that'll be next week, so long as we're not ill. Yeah. Yes. So that'll be next week, so long as we're not unwell. No, we're not going to go in here. So let's wrap it up. You're going to say bye-bye to the camera? Bye-bye. We'll be back next week, hopefully, for an actual campaign. Right, let's have a look at this Marsh Troll then. I'm pretty pleased this won. I didn't actually mind last week who won. There were some pretty cool models, and I think I said that I was very convinced I knew who would win, and I was completely wrong, because I thought it was going to be one of the other models that was going to win last week, and it totally didn't. But so this one got 4 or 5 votes. It was just a complete runaway winner. A nice big model, as you can see. Lots of great detail. Nice textured base. A little bit of cleanup going to be needed. If you ever look on the bottom of that, I'm going to need to get my knife in there to clean up those little bits hanging off the bottom. But the first thing I'm going to do, as always, stick it in some hot water with some soap, give it a good scrub with my old toothbrush, and then let that dry, and then clean it up, prime it, show you what it looks like when it's primed, and then get him down to the painting bench. Let's see if I can manage to do this slightly more efficiently than last week's. Well, there he is, Tuco, the ugly, done, based, rim painted, and there's only one more to go, which is Cheyenne, and I'll try and get that done in the next couple of days. But that was a really unexpected thing to sit down and get them done in one evening, and has actually really put a smile on my face, because yeah, I really love that film, and I'm gonna have to watch it soon. But time there is the issue. Sitting and watching films is not something I get time to do very often. So anyway, put him on the shelf and hopefully paint up the last one, and then I'll have all of my Linguini Western faction painted. Okay, so a bit of a think about what the next steps are, and actually I think what the next step is what I'm about to do. I'm going to paint in the beams, and I'm painting this with my Winsor & Newton raw umber. So the reason for doing it this way around is not when I make a mistake and go over like I just did there. It's going to be very easy for me then to cover that over with the grout mix, rather than do it the other way around and then having to try and touch up the grout mix. This just makes it a little bit easier. So I'm going to go around and paint all of these bits of wood, all of the surrounds of the door, of the windows, the surround of the door, and then once I've finished the painting, then I will look to do the grout mix. So I'll get that done and show what it looks like when it's finished. Well, here we are, he's primed up, and I've stuck him to a base. Don't know where I got these ones from, they're a bit odd. They're not Games Workshop ones, but yeah, they're fine. So I stuck him to that. I was having an argument about whether I was going to do the milliput now, but just because of how stressed it was last week getting this painted, I've decided to start the painting and get the painting done. And then if I have time to do a really, really fancy base, I will, and if I don't, then I won't. So he's going to go down to the painting bench and get painted up, and hopefully we'll be done in a couple of days, 3 days max, and then I'll have a little bit of time to have some fun with the basing. So let's see how it goes. So another lesson learned here. What I probably should have done is done this painting before while it was still flat, before I folded it up, because it just made it easier. I mean, it hasn't been too difficult, but it would have been easier if I'd have done it while it was still flat. So there's another little lesson learned. Just thought I'd share that with you. But that's done. So the next thing to do is going to be to either paint the doors and the windows, or put the grout on. But I haven't got time now, so I'll come back to that a bit later on. Well, yesterday evening, before I went to bed, after I should have gone to bed, I'm really determined, even though I'm really busy this week, to still keep up with the hobbying, and so I primed up my house here. So really, really happy. Didn't take me all that long. I just watched a couple of videos and just kind of potted away on it and got them primed. So what I'll do now is I'm going to go and get that painted. So that, as I've said, will come up on the An Average Painter YouTube channel, the whole painting process. And next time we see it over here on Big Clipper, it will be painted and pretty much finished. I have realised, I thought about it last night and then forgot because I was very tired, it was very late, that I'd also need to prime up the roof, which will stick on here, and all the other bits and pieces. So I'll get those primed as well, but that's fine. So yeah, go over to An Average Painter to see how this is painted if you want to see. Once it's finished, it goes up on a Monday when I publish those videos. And yeah, then we'll have a look and see what it looks like, and it will just be doing the painting over there. I'll show how the detailing is done, so put on the scatter and what have you over here. So that'll be the next thing you'll see being done. Well, there we are. It's Tuesday evening, and yes, I did manage to get this painted in 2 days. It was a lot of fun actually, and as I've said before, I have recorded it, so you can watch that on the An Average Painter YouTube channel. Time is such a problem for me at the moment, so I'm just getting 15-20 minutes in every evening, and that's how long roughly this has taken me to do. So the next thing is going to be to work on the basing, so I'm not going to get that done now because I don't have time, but I'll try to pick that up tomorrow. And the concept I'm going to have, I'm actually going to try and make use of my UV resin, which I've not used very much at all. I have used it a little bit, not used it very much. So what I'd like to do is get some milliput, make some little puddles, put some resin in it, have some like cut off paintbrush bristles and make it look very swampy, because obviously it's a marsh troll. So yeah, and it's looking like the swamp shambler, which is hard for me to say, might be winning next week's. So it could be a twofer in terms of swamp basing, which is quite exciting as well. So anyway, I'll come back on that tomorrow and bring you along when I come to do the basing. It's not going to be the simple basing. I have time to do a nice base, which I'm really pleased about. So yeah, onwards and upwards. Very cool. Right, well, so I'm mixing up some milliput here, and I'm going to start to build up the outsides of the little kind of pond and what have you area. So just hadn't mixed it quite enough before I turned the camera on. So yeah, so what I'm going to do, I haven't made enough deliberately. What I'm going to do is work out roughly where I want to put the water and the water effects. So I'm going to do it here, and I'm going to build this basically as a rim around the edge, which is pretty obvious. That's what I'm going to have to do. But I'm going to leave low points where I'm going to drop little bits of the UV resin. And then when this is dry, paint it, and then UV resin, and then it will be done. So hopefully I'll get this done in time, because yeah, want it finished by, well, I need it finished by Saturday obviously. And to top everything off of how busy I am, I'm starting to get sick, so we shall see how this week goes. Anyway, so I'm not going to film much more of that. I'm just going to work like this. As you see, I'm going to have little pools separated out, so I have 2 or 3 areas where I'll have the UV resin, and the rest will be kind of like a muddy colour. So I'll get the rest of that done, mix up some more milliput now, and let that set. I'll bring you back when I'm ready to do the painting and start with the resin. Right, so I've mixed up some of my grout mix, but for some reason the PVA in my bottle is really liquid, which it shouldn't be, and so this is mixed up very, very liquid. So I'm not entirely sure whether this is going to work. We're going to give it a try, and I'm going to show you how. As I said, there's a video in the description of how I make it, but it basically is tile grout mixed with some dirt that I collect locally, a PVA, and a little bit of water, but not very much water. You don't want it to be this liquid at all, really. So what we're going to have to do is apply it in a slightly different way, by dabbing it on rather than by brushing it on. I'm not too worried about getting anything on the base, because I'm going to be building that up with more texture anyway. But as you can see, even already it builds up a really nice stucco or very good textured effect, because it's got the dusty sand in it and also the grout. And it does actually work to as a kind of to solidify things as well. So it will make the whole thing more hard wearing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this in all the way around all of the building, including up here, and let it dry. The mix that I make here does stay good for quite a long time if you put it in the fridge. So I'll be able to put this mix in the fridge and then come back and do a second coat, which I probably will do, and hopefully by that point it won't be quite so runny, so a bit easier to apply. But yeah, as you can see, even with it being as runny, I am able to get a nice effect close to what I'm attempting to achieve. So yeah, just going to spend the next 5 minutes or so just putting this on over the whole thing, and I'll be back to show you what it looks like when I come to the second coat. So yeah, let's just carry on with this. I'll turn the camera off now, because it's basically going to be what you've just seen repeated all the way around the rest of the building. Alright, so that's done and dried nicely, gone off nicely during today. And what I'm going to do now, I've decided I'm going to put this pine forest cover over all of it, and then I will apply then I'll apply some extra kind of like height and what have you, but the forest cover is what I'm going to do first. So this is more of the same, so I won't film all of it, but basically just put once you've managed to unblog it, which it seems to be the difficulty with this all the time. Once you manage to unblock it, put some of this glue over it, spread it around with your toothpick so it's not too thick, and then scatter the scatter on it, and then move on around to the side. So I'll get that done. Once that's finished, once that's been dried a little bit, then a little bit of this, and I'll put a little bit of PVA glue on it to seal it, and then we'll have a look at doing the water, which is pretty cool. So yeah, just like that. It's going to be quite a nice little swampy look. So I'll get the rest of that done, bring you back when I get to the next step. Alright, so it's the next day. I let this dry overnight. Got very busy last night. So what I'm going to do now is two things. First of all, we're going to come along and we're going to paint PVA glue, watered down PVA glue over the top, which is going to seal in the material that we put on last night. You can see it is still moving around. We do need to do this. Oh, and this is not the best not the best one to use. It just fell off. The end just fell off into the glue. Oops, so I have to go and get myself another paintbrush. So I'll get that done, get the PVA glue painted all the way around it, get a different paintbrush which isn't going to fall off into the glue, and I'll bring it back and show you the second step. Right, there we are, a nice new brush. So what I'm now going to do, because it's all just a bit brown and a bit dull, is I've got this stuff which I very rarely use. This is like cheap grass material, but I think it's going to work quite nicely here, just to bring a bit of colour. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to place it carefully around the whole thing, around the edge, just to add in that little bit more colour that is missing from the base. It was just a bit dull, frankly, before. And then I'll let that dry a bit, and then seal it again with some more PVA, and then we'll be ready for doing our doing the resin, the UV resin. So there we are. I think that is going to look a lot better, a lot brighter, a lot more interesting. Let's let that dry, bring you back for the next step when I get to it. So I was just walking past and I saw this and I thought, I'll get a quick clip. This is just the layer that you saw me put on yesterday. I haven't done a second layer yet, though I am going to in places. Some of it's a bit thin, but you can just see just what a fantastic texture this gives, really, really simply. The light coming in is perfect to show it off, which is why I caught sight of it and thought I'd do the clip. So this is just one layer, just one coat, very, very thin coat of the grout mix, and yeah, just brilliant, love it. So yeah, so I'm going to do another coat, I think, maybe not over all of it. This side looks perfect, but if we turn it around, that side isn't quite as good. I might do it over all of it, but yeah, pretty happy with that. So I'll get that done, show what it looks like when it is all got its second coat, and then we will have a look potentially at the roof or painting the windows and the door. That's the next things to do. We're really cracking on through this now. Well, I've left that for quite a while, and what I'm now going to do is come along. I've got some alcohol, some 99% alcohol and a dropper, and actually I'm going to get a tray to put it on, just to make it a bit easier to move around and what have you. And what we're going to do is we're going to use the dropper to put alcohol on, and then that will break up the surface tension, which will then mean that when we put the PVA glue on, it will soak all the way into all of it and give it a good penetration and make the whole thing rock solid. So there we are, bit of alcohol on there. And now just my normal watered down PVA, drop that on, and you'll see that it spreads pretty nicely throughout rather than pulling up. Pulls up a bit, but this PVA is probably a little bit thick, to be honest. But anyway, that's what we're going to do. And then I'll leave that to dry overnight, and then basically it's going to be UV resin, and I'll bring you back when I get to that, which dries in minutes, and then we'll just have to paint the rim. So we're nearly finished, which is good. Right, lots of PVA. If you're worried about how much PVA there is on there, you can always get a little bit of tissue. I'll show you if I can find some tissue. And you can kind of like just dip it in. I found my kitchen roll. Just take a little bit of tissue, and if you're worried that there's too much, then you can do that and it'll kind of pull it off. Now, I know that you don't have to worry, and that's not going to cause a problem, so I'm going to leave it, but just to show you, you can do that. Right, that'll dry. I'll bring you back in the morning when it's dried, and we'll have a look at the resin. Right, it's the next day, and that is now really nicely dried. So I have my Green Stuff World UV resin, which I've not really used ever. So we're going to find out how this works. Oh, it doesn't have a dropper on it. Oh, yes it does. I've just undone the wrong one. So I've undone too much. So it does have a dropper. So what we're going to do is we're going to put some of this, if this still works. I've bought this, I had this for ages. Oh, it does good. So we're going to put some of this just in some of these little divots that I left. And I'm hoping that it's kind of self-leveling, so I don't have to go in there with a needle. And we're just going to set these here. It's a lovely sunny day, so I can set this on the windowsill, and yeah, hopefully it'll just set nice and quickly. So yeah, and then once that's done, I just need to paint the rims, and then this one is finished, which is pretty cool. So let's pop this in the sun, leave it for, it says, a couple of minutes. That's what it says. Cured under ultraviolet sunlight in minutes. So let's go and see how quickly that happens. Well, that's worked really well. So it actually was set very quickly. One thing to say, it did smell quite a bit, which is a bit of a shame, but I'm very, very pleased with how it looks. And now I just need to go and paint the rim, so I'll get that done, and then they'll be finished. So I've managed to get it finished up. This is now Friday, so it's taken a week. My life is just so busy, I'm really struggling to get any time to hobby. But I'm going to keep up with this, going to keep trying to paint all of these miniatures for the year, at least get these done. So yeah, happy with this one, a nice base and a fun miniature to paint. Right, I've decided that the first thing that I want to do on this is actually painting the door, which is going to take absolutely no time. I probably need a smaller brush actually. This might be a bit of a big brush, but I wanted to go with a nice ruby deep red door, because I think that goes very nicely against the texture that we've got. So we'll get that done. I haven't got time now, that's literally all the hobby time I've got. This is how crazy things are at the moment. But when I get a little bit more time, a bit later on, we'll do the windows, and they'll be done with like a grey blue, and then yeah, we'll be making really good progress on this, and we'll have to start thinking about doing the roof. So yeah, a little bit more done. Alright, so now it's time for the windows, and I'm just going to make use of this blue paint. This is just blue house paint. And it's going to be a two-stage process. So first of all, we're going to paint the blue paint on. And then after that, I'm going to come with a watered down grey to put some stripes and a little bit less shocking. But I'm trying to do this simply, so I don't mind if it's a little bit stylised. But I will be coming in a little bit to kind of make a little bit less of it look like just blue curtains on the inside. Though I suppose I could just leave it and say it's blue curtains, couldn't I? But anyway, simply paint these up. And we are really rapidly approaching the time for doing the roof, and I've been having lots of thoughts about that, and I've got some nice ideas, so hang around for that, because I think it's going to work out really nicely. These sampler pots you get are really good for hobbying, for doing stuff like we do, because you never need all that much paint, and paint always dries out once you've opened it. There seems to be no way of really stopping it from doing that. So there's far less waste when you use these little samplers. As you can see, I'm literally just putting my paintbrush in the lid. Means I'm less likely to knock the bottle over. Right, so that's that done. Near enough, one more to do. So we'll let that dry, and then I'll bring you back when I'm going to come and do the little bit of kind of highlights, I suppose you might want to call it that, with some light grey and white. So we'll see how well that goes. If that ruins it, then I'll just paint them blue again. There we are. Right, so bring it back in a couple of seconds in your time and a couple of minutes in mine. Right, this is where we find out whether my creativity outmatches my ability. So, got a frog with it. So I've got some light grey paint, and what I'm going to try and do is just put some stripes down to make it look like a window. Don't know if it's going to work. Might do. Let's see. I have not had very much time for hobbying recently. Things are going crazy, business and personal life. but what little I am doing, I'm enjoying. I think that works quite well as a simple effect. Cool. So we're going to keep doing this, and then it'll be for the roof, and then will be the scenery on the outside, and then it's done. And then I'll start the other one, which I haven't started on because I haven't had time. Life's busy. There we are. I think that looks quite nice. Just a little effect. I'll check it out in the morning after it's dried. Might do it again. But yeah, pretty cool. Okay, so you'll remember that at Christmas, Rosie brought me this lovely on-air sign. And what I'm going to do now is finally put it up, because I finally managed to buy myself a USB charger. And up here, we have my Killer Pest, which I haven't used for a very, very long time, because we no longer get so many flies in here because we have fly screens and windows. This was put in when we were decorating and when we were very first renovating. So I'm going to take that out. That can be put somewhere else, maybe downstairs. And here is my USB. So what I'm going to do is get that plugged in, like so, and feed that up behind the door. And this is going to be a little bit interesting. It might have to be adjusted, so I'm just going to use push pins at this stage. I might need to kind of like cable tidy a bit. But push pins in. There's one. There's two. And we can turn it on. So there we are, we have my on-air sign. Very pleased, I've been wanting to do that for a while, so that's definitely a win. Like I say, I'm going to think about some cable tidy situation for this, but for now, I might just get a little zip tie or something and just like make it into a circle, or I might just put a little bit of a tidy, so have a loop. I'm not sure, I need to think about it. Or I could put it around here, that might not be a bad idea. Put it up there, and then it's out the way a little bit. Anyway, that's irrelevant. I've done it, brilliant. So there we are, I told you it would be a short one, and it was. And you can see it's a bit washed out, but there's my awesome on-air sign. I love it. I've shown it to Rosie and she was very pleased. It's so cool to have that up. I've just finally managed to find myself a USB plug, and so that's been done. So yeah, this coming week, well, we're not going to play the game today. We've got a little bit of holiday coming up, not mine, Angela, and so I decided to leave it until she comes back, so that there's not a couple of sessions and then a long break and then a couple of sessions. Apologies, you won't be able to see gaming next week in the vlog. Hopefully I'll be able to get a little bit more done this week, but I'm not sure. It's just crazy busy. I'm working again, and I've also started a new business, a new venture, and I'm trying to do both things at the same time, and it's just totally and utterly wiping me out. So yeah, hobby time is very hard to find, but I really appreciate the fact that you've watched it, particularly if you've made it this far, and if you voted for the miniature to be painted. So the names are on screen. They are also in the description, and I put a link to the Reaper site so that you can click through. If you're not sure which one and what they look like, you can click through nice and easily and go and see the miniatures on the Reaper site yourself. So congratulations again to Leslie. I'll be in touch, and everyone, thank you very much for watching. I do also want to send out thoughts to Zero. I really hope that you're doing okay, mate. Zero's Hobbies. If you see this, we're thinking about you, and sending you get well wishes very much. And I will wrap up by saying, as I always do as well, to everyone, please do stay healthy, stay safe, and stay well.